are live, you are live.
Hello everyone, and welcome to a beautiful cloudy afternoon here in the Sabi Sands. Look at that. Like a painting. So, I think the stage is set for a wonderful sunset safari. It's great to have you all with us. My name is Scott. I'm teamed up with VM on camera. We've got James heading out on the other vehicle. He's got some exciting news, but that's all I'm going to say. There's something potentially great that is going to happen on his vehicle in a few moments' time, but you're going to have to wait and see. Brent is back from leave. He can wait a moment for me to finish chatting with you guys, and then I'll get a hold of him. I'm sure it's not urgent. A few important things are happening this afternoon. Firstly, it's Nikki's final drive directing the show, so obviously exciting and sad, and it's her last time. Tomorrow at least she's going to be out on the vehicle on the afternoon, so some of you will get to see her and ask her some questions, so that is something to look forward to, but that's sad that it is her last drive. On a happy note, we've got a tea party arranged. Gracie, I'm sorry that we didn't do it yesterday or the day before or the day before that, but it is happening today, and we are on our way to the Arathusa airstrip where we are going to have a wonderful little tea party. So I'm really looking forward to that. After that, Gracie, I think we're going to go and look for the Inkuhuma Pride, which I'm told are somewhere. The guys think they are somewhere around Arathusa. They had their tracks this morning, but couldn't find them. It's very hot. It's about 33 degrees Celsius, which is around 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm guessing the lions are going to be sleepy for the next hour or so, which is perfect because that's when we're going to be having the tea party anyway. Let's continue. And see what we can find. There's some elephant tracks on the road here. Sadly, they're going in the wrong direction. But always wonderful to know that there actually just has been an interesting animal moving through the area that we are now moving. I like to, when only seeing the tracks, just imagine a big elephant bull walking right towards us now, and it's almost as good as seeing the real thing. Well, even though there's a lot of clouds in the sky, I don't think there's going to be any rain this afternoon, which is kind of good for us, but not good for the bush. It's incredibly dry at the moment, and any of you who may be joining for the first time, it's important that you know that we are in the middle of a large drought here. Usually the ground would be covered in green grass at this time of the year, but look at how dry and barren it is. Even the leaves are yellowing as if it's autumn, which it certainly is not. Another important thing that you need to know if you're joining for the first time is that this is a live safari. It's happening this very second. If you don't believe me, send through your thoughts to #SafariLive on Twitter, and or send an email through to questions@WildEarthTV, and we will prove you wrong and we'll get back to you. So let us know if it is your first time watching. Let me get a hold of Brent now. Brent, go ahead.
Sorry, just went to check last session through. We've got the carcass and stuff. Where exactly was she lying at?
She was lying up further east, further down on the riverbed, basically, just on the edge of that bank. Cool, we're going to send you across to James right now. See you later.
I'll make the same time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we were just in the process of trying to remove a light here because it's obstructing the camera. Brent Leo Smith's powerful voice was broadcasting over the Game Drive radio, and everything just got on top of us suddenly. Now, good afternoon. Welcome. And to Wendy, and we do hope that the signal on this car is going to be good this afternoon, because we have something of a treat to show you. Whether or not we're going to be able to maintain it through the course of the afternoon, I don't know, but if we can't, Scott will come back here at some stage during the afternoon and show it to you. My name is James Hendry, for those of you who've just joined us, and it is marvellous to have you with us. On camera today we have Dave. Dave is dressed in some very camouflaged clothing today. Dave, is it new?
Yeah, new uniform.
New uniform, very nice, very nice. Lovely bottle green uniform there. Okay, good, goes with the blue hat. And on the final control, as you know, Nicola Austin's final drive in this incarnation as a director. So, Nicola, let's have a good performance from you, singing sweetly in my ear throughout the course of the afternoon. We are live, just as Scott is live, hashtag Safari Live if you want to talk to us on Twitter, questions at WildEarthTV if you want to ask us anything, or YouTube, you can talk to us on the YouTube chat as well. Now, over here, David, if I might, before on you to point your camera nose towards the ground there. It looks like something has been dragged upon the ground there, and unsurprisingly, that is in fact the case. If it looks like something has been dragged, normally something has been dragged. And it looks like something very large was dragged there, but in fact it wasn't something very large. It was something relatively small. It was an adult female impala. Now, the only reason to drag something like that along the ground is if you want to stash it somewhere. And of course, the only animal that would want to stash it somewhere would be a female leopard. Now, in here, earlier today, somebody found Karula in a tree with an adult female impala. She was supping on it. She seems to have moved. I haven't actually been in there, but we're going to drive in and have a look. Brent has gone round just to have a look in the drainage line below here to see if she isn't lying up in the shade. She may also have gone off to have a little bit of water. There are lots of puddles around the place, so she could have gone there. We're not really sure. Anyway, the other interesting thing is just before, or as we drive in there, is that her tracks crossed out again sometime last night into the drainage line in the Mulwati drainage line just to the south of us, and I think it's looking pretty good, to be honest, that she might just have managed to keep her cubs. Let's hold our thumbs and cross our toes. Here we go. If we go black screen, I'm sorry, Scott will come back here at some stage. Nicola, are we okay? So far, so good. Marvellous, marvellous news. Now, I think... ease in here, Dave. She could be anywhere around, lying in the shade.
I don't see the impala.
Don't worry, you will. We're just going to get a little bit forward. It's in the kind of first tall fork. You got it there.
Yep.
We're still live, everybody. Sorry about the black screen. Sitting below us has spotted the leopard. Now, whether I can get into a position we can see her, I don't know. Brenda's not very well... Oh, I see, yes. Very well spotted there. There she is. Darth, if you just point your camera straight around the left-hand side of this bush in front of us, you will see the dappled spots and golden pelage of an 11-year-old female leopard with a slightly flat nose. You see her? David, go to the right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. Go left a bit. She's there. Zoom in as far as you can there. There, you can see her breathing. Just in the corner there. Okay, I have slightly parked you behind a tree, so let me just move slightly. Of course, Wendy is not the youngest girl. She's a bit like Karula, really. It takes a bit of a while to get going. That's actually good. Don't want her in the tree because I know that she has been a little ornery with vehicles of late.
Just watch your hat.
I will move. Can you see it now, Dave?
Just in front of your head.
There. You got it?
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. So that's the best view we're going to get of her at the moment, everyone. And she's lying up in the shade there because trees are not comfortable for leopards to lie in. Just like you, if you try and climb a tree and drape yourself over it, you'll eventually find that it crushes your ribs or a branch sticks into an uncomfortable spot. And so if they can be away from the tree and lie up in the shade and the softness of the leaf litter, then that is what they will do. How very, very exciting to see her again. And of course, what we will be trying to see during the course of this afternoon is whether or not she is suckling. Has she got suckle marks on her belly? And she's panting because it's warm. It's not that hot, but it's warm. But it's certainly not too hot at the moment, so she'll be panting because it's hot and because she's full of food. Charlie, hello. You want to know if there's any sign of cubs? No, not yet, Charlie, but she has been going to and fro across the southern boundary at the junction with the drainage line that we're parked over now. And that is an indicator that she's going to and from one position. Now, that position that she's going to and from could well house some little cubs. They would at this stage be, what would we say, 3 or 4 weeks old, which means she would be on the verge of starting to walk around with them a little bit, probably 2 weeks to go, if they are still there. So I wouldn't hold out any hope of seeing her for the next 2 weeks with the cubs. Darby, will you just tell me if you lose sight of her? I mean, she looks like you've got sight. I just can't see the monitor very well. We can try, Darv, but like I say, I don't want to block her from the kill. We will move very slightly forward. Say when? Okay. There we go. That, everybody, was David's first actual words without prompting on live television. Well done, David. So she is panting because it is hot, and she would have eaten. I can't see, the carcass is beautifully hidden up in that tree there, and I can't see how much of it she's actually devoured. She's cleaning her paws, which in turn will clean her face. Now, what I want you to do, everybody, is remove yourself from whatever situation you happen to find yourself. I know that a lot of you will be watching from work, some of you perhaps in meetings. What I want you to do is remove yourself from that situation, dive into your computer screen or your TV screen, and I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds, and I want you to just absorb the atmosphere. A wind blowing in gently from the southeast, the odd bird calling, and Africa's most beautiful predator panting gently in the shade in front of you. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Now, if that doesn't touch something deep inside you, well, I'm not sure anything will, really. I'm just going to watch her behavior quite carefully. Now, like I say, she has been a little bit uncomfortable with vehicles of late, and she looked a little bit there like she gave a bit of a hiss, and what I'll do then, I'm afraid, is back off quite close, quite a bit, just so that if she wants to come to the kill, she can. She won't feel uncomfortable to do so. And the one little piece of advice I would give you on a technical front is that if you are watching this, sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the leopard. I know my head's getting in the way every so often. It's just because she's had that one little hiss at us. Make sure that that you have a decent pair of headphones or speakers when you're watching this, because the sounds of Africa are often just as magnificent as the sights. She may not have hissed, she may have actually just been sneezing. She's watching us quite carefully. At the moment she's very relaxed. And as I was just listening, we were watching some of our drives this morning. What we do is twice a week we go through some of the drive stuff and we comment on each other. And I remember Scott saying on one of the drives that when an animal shows that it is uncomfortable with you, the first thing that you do is back off. And so if she does start to show any form of discomfort, because we are parked basically right between her and the kill, and she could go past us, and certainly before she would have. But if she does show any discomfort, we will reverse out, and so the view might become compromised. So I'm just warning you about that. We do want to be as sensitive as possible, especially as she might have youngsters, and we don't want to stress her in any shape, way or form. Now, Tim, you're in Arkansas, and a very nice question about when a female leopard will teach her cubs to climb trees, if indeed that's what she does. Tim, a leopard cub will be able to climb a tree from about 6 weeks, and so that 6-week thing is quite crucial. It's a crucial period. I'm just going to keep an eye on her. And so, yeah, 6 weeks or so. Will she teach them? I think there's quite a lot of leopard behavior that is, we don't know how much is nurture and how much is nature. I don't think she will teach them to climb trees any more than your domestic cats have to be taught to climb trees. They just know how to do it. They will engage in an element of hunting training, but again, the kind of instinct to stalk and pounce seems to be entirely inbred, totally born of the genetics. So I think tree climbing is very much in that category, a natural or instinctual response and instinctual behavior. Of course, you can debate for years and years. Oh, here we go. We got action, Dave. There she goes. Just, David, if I can ask you to sit relatively still if she comes past. Franklin has just seen her from all the way across the drainage line. You can hear it, listen.
What's your head, James?
Just sit still, everyone. Don't move anyone, don't breathe. David, move very slowly when you move around, okay? There you go. Well done. This is just too precious for words, everyone. I'm just going to be quiet and let's watch what happens. Listen to the Franklin. And James Richard, you're going to have to hold off on comments like this, I think, for the course of the afternoon, because they're going to result in tears from the final control. A very kind comment. You say you're so lucky to have seen Karula, the Queen, just before Scott and Mickey leave. Absolutely. Station from Cheetah Plains come in.
Bye.
Sorry, Andrew, I've had my radio down. Please will you come, we are to the north of you. You need to come in very, very slowly and to the northern side of where I am. Isn't this amazing?
All right.
Oh, you can. Yeah, no. You probably get a good view from the drainage there. If you can go into the drainage, you'll probably actually get a great view. She's just gone up the tree. Yeah, in fact, everybody, it would be nice for us to go into the drainage line, but I just don't think that we'd actually be able to get any signal to you from there. What I am going to do is just move slightly back, and Dave, you'll tell me if we've got a picture, will you? Okay. I think we're going to get... He's like, sorry, I was being whacked over the head by a piece of saffron branch. Ooh, I don't know about this. Can you see, Dave?
No.
Not great.
It's not bad, James.
Is it not too bad? I can't make it out. Oh, I see. Okay, that'll do. You can see her just giving a bit of a hiss there. And I think that's just because she's a little uncomfortable with life at the moment. So I think we're going to park here. I'm afraid I don't know that we're going to get a better view of her than we have now. Go ahead.
You know, I hate to admit when I'm wrong, but she's got different psychologies.
This is a marvellous piece of news I've just got from Nat.Geo Smith. He was parked down in the drainage line there as she moved and as she climbed up. He says she has got definite suckle marks. Isn't that great? Marvellous news. Copy, thank you. I've told the viewers. That is really exciting, everyone. Sorry, Nikki, can you go again with your last message?
The water drainage. Best access to water drainage from drinking.
Now, let's do, I think, one of the best things to do in these situations after a leopard has been so marvellously graceful is a quick slow-mo of her going up into the tree. Watch this. Okay, Dave and I are just quickly discussing this. Action replay, I mean, it's like a live sportscast. We're going to just try and reposition. Dave suggested another area. Of course, Wendy is about as quiet as a bulldozer at the moment.
Hold it there, James. That's better.
Is that right? Oh, well done, Dave. Good job. And then everybody, thank you very much. Nikki has sent through a message to say to extend her grateful thanks for the kind messages that you've sent through to her about, the good luck and the thanks for all that they've done. And I'm sure those will continue to flow in during the course of the afternoon. But she's just expressed how grateful she is for all the encouragement and thanks that you've given to her. So thank you all for that. And for those of you who are wondering what on earth we're talking about, Nikki and Scott, the best looking couple in the bush really, they're moving on to other things for now. They may be back, they may not, we're not sure. But they're leaving us, unfortunately, on Sunday morning. Oh, did you smell that, Dave?
No.
It doesn't smell like this kill is too fresh, does it? That's, it does smell a bit rotten. I wonder if it hasn't been here maybe 2 days or so. That could well be why she was going to and from across the road. to the south of us. This is so exciting. I just had a feeling in me bones that maybe she still had youngsters. And Basica and so many of you are now so excited that perhaps her cubs are going to be fine. Remember, they're not out of the woods. They, or it, is not out of the woods, of course. At 6 weeks, it'll start moving with her, and then we might be able to get a view. Once it can climb a tree, we will be prepared to view it. But you definitely, of course, won't bring it to a kill site like this. Remember that this will be a magnet for hyenas, and she lost her last cub to hyenas. And she won't be bringing it to anywhere near a kill until it is much older. Well done, old girl. Isn't that marvellous? Ha! A leopard cub, hopefully a male, and I say that simply because they are just the best fun when they're young males. They become much less fun when they're older because they show a disdain, unlike the females, which kind of remain consistent their whole lives. But a young male leopard is, to my mind, next to a pack of wild dogs, the most fun thing in the bush. Inquisitive, beautiful. But time will tell which or how many or what they are. So as I said, an adult female impala, and she's dragged it into a beautiful ebony tree or jackalberry tree. It's an excellent leopard tree, this one. No hyena will be able to climb up there. A lion probably could. And a lion, of course, is an enormous scavenger. But she could either take it higher or just climb up higher herself if she felt there was a threat. Nice question here from Hanu Sakari. Hanu Sakari, that sounds like an interesting name, so I'd really like to know if you've talked to us again, please tell us where you're from. Hanu Sakari, you're on YouTube at the moment, but that's obviously not where you live. You want to know how high a leopard can jump. It's difficult to say, except to say that if you have a leopard in an enclosure, for example, there are legal requirements if you're going to have a rehabilitation center or something like that. And there was one stage of my life where we were looking into building one for animals that were found just north of Palaboa, out in the communal lands, and that we wanted to try and reintroduce back to the wild. And a leopard fence has got to be, I think, at least 3 meters high. Now that is about 14 feet. And it has to have a kind of electrified lip to that. So very high is the answer. I'm not sure they could clear 14 feet, but they could certainly jump and then climb over a fence of about that height. I would say a leopard, I've seen a leopard jumping into the air to catch a bird, probably 2 meters, just over maybe 8 feet, just over. It's pretty high. Now, Ainsl's Aegis, I hope we're pronouncing that correctly. You're also on YouTube, and you want to know, will they send through, or will a leopard stay in the same place for its whole life? Will they have a territory? Absolutely. The females, like some of Karula's cubs, will set up a territory next to their mothers, and they will remain in that area for their whole lives. And then the males will normally disperse and go off and set up a territory quite often a long way away from where they were born. David, you must tell me if I might be scratching my ear or something when you put the camera on me. So a male will normally set up a territory away from his natal territory or his mother's territory, unless, as is the case, it's happening here, the father of those males is getting old, and perhaps his territory is, it's coming for his time to retire, as it were, and go into the long night. So what we have a situation here where we've got her last two cubs, or her second to last two surviving cubs, two males, are operating still within their father's territory to the south of us here. Their father is now 13, he's getting old, he's losing muscle mass, he probably won't be able to maintain a territory in the face of a challenge from a younger, stronger male. And so it's quite possible that her sons will set up a territory next to her. Now, that does mean that inbreeding can happen. It does mean that they might mate with their sister if there's a sister coming up, and certainly there are a couple of sisters around the place. But with leopards, that's okay. It's okay for about 6 generations. We don't get major sort of defects before then, and it's totally normal for that to happen. But normally the males will disperse to try and keep the sort of genetic what do I want to say? To increase the gene pool in the leopard population. Flies. So a lovely view there. I mean, now you can imagine walking past here. I know that's not the best view of her, of course, because she's got her face hidden behind the stick or the large branch, but just a wonderful example of how many times we must have driven past leopards and had no idea that they were there. Now, Gracie, aged 8, I hope that you are ready. I hope your Cinderella dress is on. I hope that you have not had any lunch today, or what would you have had, breakfast today. I hope that you are very hungry because you're about to have tea from a spectacular location on Arathusa Private Game Reserve. I'm going to hand you over to Scott, who is ready to have his tea party with you. Have a lovely time, and we'll see you back here just now.
Follow me, Gracie. We're going up the stairs, right up top there, and that's where we're going to have the tea party. Let's go. I'm so excited, Gracie. You're halfway. Look at the view. How cool is that? Still some more steps, though. And you're at the top. Take a look, and next thing you know, you're here. Welcome, Gracie, and very, very happy to finally be having the tea party with you. Now, I must say that I'm quite sorry, and I need to apologize on behalf of a few people, because I didn't bring the right muffins. We've got biscuits instead. They are very tasty biscuits. They're called tennis biscuits, and I don't know if you get them in America, but we love them here in South Africa. I did plan to bring some delicious vanilla muffins that I was going to put some of my homemade marula jam on, but it turns out that James and Brian found the muffins that I'd hidden in the fridge for you. I'd hidden them behind a watermelon, and James and Brian found them, but they didn't know that it was for our tea party, so we can't be angry with them. But it's quite funny that they ate our muffins and they didn't know that they were ours. Because it's very hot today, Gracie, I've made a nice cold, delicious chocolate milk drink. So I'm going to fill your glass up now. This is the best. We call it Nesquik. I don't know if you have Nesquik in America, but it's our South African #1 chocolate milk. And it's very, very cold. We need to say thank you to Kirsty for lending us her fancy flask. Very good. Now you'll also notice, Gracie, that there's some leaves on the plate. It's not a salad, it's just for decoration, so don't worry, you don't need to eat the leaves, it's just so it looks pretty. And now, before we have any food though, I'm sure you want to have a look at the view. So take a look here, Gracie. There's the one end of the airstrip showing poor old Biam's got a difficult job here with that big camera, but there you can see the end of the airstrip out there. And that's where the planes turn around once they've landed. And that's where you usually see us driving around. And we we can show you something else that's a little bit interesting. We can show you a bird's eye view of our car, which is straight below us there. Look at how high we are. So that's the view down into where we sit. And yeah, I can tell you one thing, Gracie, it's very windy and this whole thing's swaying in the wind, so it's actually a little bit scary. I don't know if you can hear it creaking. So we're going to have to be well behaved up here, not too much running around. And I'm so glad we're finally doing this, Gracie, and I hope you are enjoying our tea party. I'm sure that James and Jamie and Brent will continue to take you on tea parties when I'm gone, so don't worry, and I'm going to miss you a lot. And thank you for all of your questions. Thank you for always joining us on the safaris. It's always wonderful to have you with us. Cool. I think you guys want to go back and see Karula, I'm guessing. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here until you guys maybe come back to finish off the chocolate milk. But why don't you go back to James for a quick look at what he's up to, and then we'll finish the tea party when you come back. It's so good.
Well, I hope, Gracie, that was a wonderful tea party there and that you enjoyed the chocolate milk. Viam, of course, drinks more chocolate milk than he does water, and so for him it's not unusual, but for Scott to have chocolate milk, it's wonderful. And I must just apologize profusely for having eaten the muffins. I promise I didn't know that they were going to be at the tea party today, and it wasn't only me, it was Brian as well. Brian and I both had a muffin this morning, and unfortunately we didn't know that Scott had planned to give them to you for your tea party, Gracie, so I'm very sorry, and I will have to make amends somehow, and you can tell me how I can do that. I hope you had a good tea party. It's just wonderful that Scott was able to achieve that. The leopard has not moved. She's having her tea party, of course. She's having a slightly different fare. She's having raw meat. And I said this was an impala, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually a young kudu. And Dave, you can't see the head, can you? No, the head is just behind the bush there. I can see the head of whatever it is that she's killed. It's kudu-sized, sort of young kudu-sized and kudu-coloured. There we go. And also very large kind of ears of a young kudu, so I think that's what it is. Remember, we've seen lots of young kudu in the last little while. And perfect targets for a female leopard like this. They get left alone when their mothers go off to have a drink, and then they come back. And, you know, if a leopard happens to stumble across a young kudu, it's just very easy pickings. They'll have hardly any smell, interestingly, when they're little, and that's why they can be left alone behind the bushes on their own. Darlene, this is a question that I'm not sure will ever be answered, and I think it's a very valid one and a very interesting one. You're in New Hampshire, and you want to know if I think a male leopard would recognize his own cubs, either from scent, or if he would just assume they were his from the fact that they are within a female's territory, a female that he knows he's mated with. Darlene, I'm in two minds about it. Leopards mate with multiple males, the females, and that could be, I suspect quite strongly, that's to try and con them all into believing that the youngsters that they next see are their own. It might be seeking out the strongest genes, except that it's possible that that's what it is. So it's possible that they have what we call sperm competition, which happens, the most obvious example of where that happens is with chimpanzees, where females will mate with multiple males, and sometimes the litters actually have multiple paternity, and we think it might happen with leopards, but we don't know for sure. Now, does a male then recognize his babies by scent? I would tend to say yes, because I mean, we as human beings with our highly insensitive noses, when we smell people who are family, we can absolutely tell. We can smell a familiarity that is there. But whether that's because we've developed it growing up with our families, and so it smells like home, not necessarily because it is home, but because we've grown up and we've actually learned the smell of our kith and kin, I don't know. I suspect it's probably a combination of both, but I will say this, and I think this is important, that a huge amount of mammal social structure and mating structure is defined by the fact that infanticide is such an enormous part of mammal social structure, from human beings down to bush babies, cats, dogs, monkeys, probably not so much in the herbivores, but infanticide is a big thing, and I think a large part of how a female mates with a male is to do with avoiding that situation. Therefore, I would say that the mating with multiple males has quite a lot to do with trying to avoid that, and therefore I'm not convinced as to how much of a role the smell plays when a male meets a cub. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Thank you, Darlene. I think it's a wonderful question. Right, let's head back to Gracie's tea party. We'll stay here at Karula's tea party.
2, 1. And seeing as though we've already finished our very tasty chocolate milk and biscuits, Gracie, now we're just going to have a quick look at the view. Sometimes you remember that little waterhole that we're looking at has got water in it. But now, like most of the waterholes, it's very, very dry. But I'm sure if you remember it, and hopefully the next few weeks you'll get some rain, and next time the guys are on drive here, you'll know what that waterhole looks like from the bird's eye view. And I do feel like a bird up here. I don't know about you, Gracie. So, thank you very much for joining me all the way in Africa on this most enjoyable tea party. And I'm sorry that I didn't do it sooner, because it's been so much fun, Gracie. And now we're going to have to get down from here and start looking for the lions, which I'm sure you'll be happy to see. So we're going to say goodbye for now, and thank you very much. Like I say, I'm sure that James and Brent and Jamie are going to be taking on some more tea parties. So it's the first, and it's definitely not the last. And I'm sure they're going to have just as much fun as I've had with you. So thank you very much. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we will see you later when we're back in the vehicle.
Still here at Karula's tea party. She's looking at you, Gracie. She's saying, why wasn't she invited to the tea party? It's much nicer to have rusks and tennis biscuits than rotting meat in a tree. But she said, oh, look, there she's looking at you. She says it's okay. She'll get over it. Here she comes down the tree. Here she comes. Look at the grace of the way she climbs down. She's coming down, Dave. There we go. Now just watch her carefully, watch her behavior. Now let's see if we can see her suckle marks. Sneezing. She's like Brian. Oh, this is just marvelous. And as we watch Karula just relaxing on the ground there, again, uncomfortable in the car, of course. And sorry, uncomfortable in the tree, not in the car. Should be very uncomfortable in the car. Rosie St. Lamb, you say, I don't know what has got come over me. You say that because we ate the muffins, we should sing the Muffin Man song. Maybe, Rosie, I will give a rendition of the Muffin Man song. Will I do it in front of this leopard? Absolutely not. I'm just going to update Tax as to what's going on here. Taxon is on drive and he's coming down this way. This is an incredible view. Wow, she's not far from us now. She's only about 4 meters, so about 16 feet or so, 15 feet. And so we're just going to make sure that we're relatively quiet. Here's a lovely question from Ashley in Missouri. Ashley, you want to know if the drought makes it harder for her to raise cubs because of the lack of cover? No, not at all. It actually has probably the opposite effect. It's probably easier for her to raise cubs because it's easier for her to catch antelope. The antelope will be weaker from the lack of food. There will be lots of them. Yes, the cover is compromised, but for leopard that isn't a major problem in this particular area. But there's going to be lots and lots of weak prey that she can prey upon, and therefore she'll be able to produce lots of milk for her young cubs. Oh, now, Keith, you want to know how far from where we think the cubs might be the kill is. Keith, I'm not sure how long you've been watching or how well you know the reserve, but you can find the reserve on Google Maps, stick it in Djuma, and we're on a road called Twin Dams, and we're sitting probably only about 500 meters or 400 meters as the crow flies from the southern boundary, and we think she's probably another same again into the property to the south of us. So, what would you say? Just under a kilometer, 800 meters or so, half a mile. 800 meters is exactly half a mile. I'm just quickly going to update tax on. Tax, do you copy tax? Tax, I don't know what the visual is like from the drainage line. There is space for one more vehicle on top of the drainage. Yeah, if just get an update from Andrew though. I don't know what the view is like where he is. I don't think they can see her at all from the bottom there. They would have had a great view of her in the tree. Now, I don't want to pressure this leopard, as I'm sure many of you would appreciate. So I think the chances are that when the next person comes in here, we will move out, incarnation, as I say, and we'll just leave her to eat in peace for a little while in the afternoon. I don't want to put too much pressure on her. And again, just every so often you can see her look up, her ears go down a little bit, she just lifts her top lip. It's not an indication that she's very angry or that she's irritated, but it's not how I know leopards to be around cars, and so there is still an element of her that is not comfortable. So I think once the other vehicle comes in here, we're going to give her some space, and then we'll come back a little bit later on, or Scott can come back a little bit later on. Does that sound all right, everyone? Tax, do you copy tax? Of Junction Elephant Carcass. I will move out when you get in here. Oh, there, look. There we can see suckle marks. We can definitely see suckle marks. Wonderful. That kind of yellow matted fur around her teeth. Station's Karula has just walked down into the drainage line. We'll go a little bit further forward, see if we can spot her. Andrew, she's walked straight down into the drainage underneath the tree. Watch your heads, everybody. Okay, you know what? I think she's moving in order to try and get a little bit of privacy. I know that might sound a little ridiculous, but I think that is the case. And so I'm going to suggest we move out. We'll let Tax and Andrew stay here for a little while longer, and then we, of course, can come back any time we like during the course of the drive. So I think we'll come back a bit later, if that's all right. Okay. your heads, everybody. We also can't follow her down there in this car. We will lose signal, unfortunately. All right. What a wonderful, wonderful treat. Marvelous stuff.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you
back to ground level, and we have literally just pulled away from the air traffic control, and if we turn this way around here we'll be able to give you a bit of a view. There's the little pan that we are looking at. And then further to the left, behind the tree, is where we were sitting having the tea party. Woohoo! That's where we were, right up there. And wasn't that so much fun? I think so, but now we need to go and look for some animals. Apologies for the tech difficulties, but I'm sure all of you are aware that live safaris come with the odd technical glitch from time to time, and you thankfully haven't missed out on any major action. Oh, Gracie. Very, very happy that you have told James not to worry about eating the muffin, firstly, and also thank you so much. You said it felt like Christmas Day, and I couldn't have asked for a kinder compliment. So you're too kind, and thank you for joining me, Gracie. It was so much fun, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I think, like you say, James needs to stick to eating leaves and not only the muffins, but I think you may have told them not to eat those leaves because they were for dessert, so I mean for decorations. So well done. Oh, you said you must leave the leaves for the animals, of course, especially during the drought. There's hardly enough leaves for them, so he must rather eat human food. That's a very good idea. Good. We're going to go and see what animals we can find now. I'm not too sure what James is up to. Didn't he find you guys a wonderful surprise with Karula? And I'm sure if she hasn't got up to much action yet, that she will get a little bit more active later on. And the most exciting news, I guess, is that there are confirmed suckle marks. So I know I was wrong. I was speaking on behalf of everyone, saying that we all thought that she didn't have cubs. I can guarantee for myself that I didn't. So 10 points to Karula, and I guess she's been a very clever leopard, hiding from us and all the other animals that can cause trouble to her cubs. So very, very exciting news, and who knows when we're going to see them next, hopefully soon. Good, it sounds like James has got signal again, and not only does he have signal, but he also has some animals.
So we found quite a large breeding herd of elephants here. They're not particularly pleased to see us, so we're going to keep our distance, see what they do. There are probably at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are above the drainage line, and the rest of them, if we look to the right here, Darv, are down inside this drainage area. So what I want to do is to just get into a position where we can look over the lip here. Now this is interestingly precisely where Karula had her first den, the one that Brent found. But she does definitely not have a den here anymore. So what we'll do, in fact, I'm in two minds as to where to go. Yeah, I think let's do that. Let's try and look over the lip, because I think they're all going to actually end up in the bottom of the drainage line at some stage. Let's see if we can get a nice view there. Hello, Charlotte. What a lovely question. While we try and get into position here, you say, what is the best advice I've ever got for being a guide, about being a guide? Charlotte, the best advice I ever had about being a guide was to not busk. Now, busking, for those of you who don't know, is when you tell pork pies. When somebody says, what bird is that? And you say, oh, well, it's a tawny eagle, of course, when you have no idea what it is. That, I've been told, or that I was told, is the first and best piece of advice I ever got, because people ain't thick. And while you might get away with it sometimes, so often people will find you out and you will look like a complete palooka. And so that was the best bit of guiding advice I ever got, Charlotte. And also, it's just, of course, there they are. You can obviously see them. Also, obviously, it's just disrespectful, of course, to tell pork pies to people, but it can be tempting, and I understand the temptation, because you can't know everything all the time. So to be able to say, I don't know, I will find out for you, and then actually do find out, is the best solution. And of course, these days now I just say, I don't know, can one of you tell me? And one of you normally can tell me, which is just marvelous. But of course, if you're guiding 6 guests who are on safari, you can't ask them, because they don't normally have all the information at their fingertips like the guests that we have, sometimes up to 3,000 at a time. 3 million during the course of a TV show. Beautiful herd of elephants. Just kind of, they're in a bit of a defensive formation there. You can see them shielding the young calf. I don't think I know this herd necessarily. And they were definitely quite keen to get across the drainage away from us when we drove up the road. So they're not very comfortable. Not sure why that should be, other than maybe they've come out of the Kruger Park. We're still not far from the Kruger boundary. Oh, she's just instilling some discipline there. That's what that cow is doing. She's saying, get out of the way, and taking her calf down through there. Let's maybe try and move now. Hello, Cat in Tampa. You say the animals seem to be on edge today. I haven't really thought about it. And you want to know if it may be could it be the drought that's putting them on edge? Cat, it's not impossible. But that herd of buffalo is always like that. I don't know why they're always like that, but they always seem to be on edge. I mean, I can remember driving into the middle of a herd of buffalo, and my tracker, who was a very amusing fellow called Johnson Mkhansi, God rest his soul, hit one of them on the backside once. I mean, that's how close we used to get. They used to surround the vehicle completely. And I haven't had that again here. So that herd of buffalo is always kind of a little bit on edge. Karula's been on edge for the last little while. We don't really know why. It'll probably have something to do with her cubs, but even before she had cubs, she was just a lot more on edge than she has been before. And these elephants, yeah, drought, I think, would affect elephants in that way. They can certainly feel the drought. They don't like the drought. They're desperately in need of water. I think we're going to have to get one last view of them going through their dove, and then they're going to melt into the bush. There's a very big, thick block in there. So, Kat, I don't think that they're necessarily on edge too much. I think it's probably the fact that we've just coincidentally found the ones that are a little bit on edge. mean, Dave and I had a very nice sighting of an elephant bull. It was 2 mornings ago, Dave, where, he walked very closely behind us and didn't react to us at all. Very nice hyenas, of course. The hyenas are not in the slightest bit on edge. They came bounding out of the den to say hello to us. That was the most wonderful sighting as we drove in. It was like a pack of your pets coming straight down the driveway to say hello to you. I felt tremendously honored by that sighting, I must say. There's one more elephant in here. We'll just have a look there. Now, this will be a young bull, a young teenager, not wanting to be around the rest of the herd because he's big and tough now, doesn't want to spend time with the kids, wants to show how big and strong he is. And he's eating some very winter meal there. You can see that's actually the first time this summer I've seen them eating bark. I've seen them eating lots of leaves, but that bark, when they're now chewing bark off a tree, is normally a sign that, we're in the middle of winter, middle of the dry season. He's also not comfortable with us, And Janice, yes, I think you're correct. You're saying, is there more movement during a drought? Absolutely, there's more movement during a drought. Janice, you're saying, will they be coming into this area from the Kruger as the drought wears on? Well, yes, I think they probably will in many respects because water is pumped in the Sabi Sands. Hugely limiting factor for elephants is water. And so, yeah, we could well find ourselves inundated with these magnificent creatures if this drought wears on. There was a lot of talk that we might get a huge amount of rain during the course of February. At the end of February, we had one nice downpour in some of the reserve, not the whole of the reserve. Over to the southeast there, you'll find that there are still huge patches of grey, bare ground with no grass on it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen, Dave. They're just going to come through this little gap here. I think it's 2 young bulls, one slightly older than the other. I'm not going to go in there after them, simply because I don't think that this herd is that relaxed, and those bulls might take exception and run off. So we're going to sit here and just see if they don't pop out of the bush there. In the meantime, let's head back to Scott and those wonderful animals, the hyena.
Just come across this young spotted hyena. And what a pleasant surprise. Well spotted to VM. We're just going to have to creep forward a little bit. Surprised that it's on the move now while it's so hot. Maybe it's looking to go and find a mud wallow, somewhere to cool off. Hyenas are the one predator that loves water in this area. They're very happy to roll around and play in the shallow puddles. And let's see where it's off to. What a bonus. Oh, no, it looks like it's going to be heading off into some thick bush. Now, I'd be surprised if any of you recognize this hyena because we are on the far western boundary of Arathusa and we don't spend too much time with the hyenas in this area, so I don't think it's one from the Djuma clan, just a bit too far away. Now sadly it is heading off into some very thick bush, and we can't follow it off-road. So I don't think we're going to get any more views, sadly, so we are going to send you back to James and the elephants.
They've come a little bit closer, and there's one actually just you can hear macerating a Ziziphus bush. Yeah, there's another one there. I'm going to try and sneak forward. I think if we wait here for long enough, they'll just walk out in front of us, but that might take until 6 o'clock this evening. It's going to ease forward. Hello, don't panic, just want to look. regard. Let's just stop here to start with. There's this young bull coming through here. So this will just be a little group of young bulls, 2 of them. And as I say, just like teenage human beings wanting to assert their independence from the herd, he's trying to smell us now. Here we go, now he's relaxing a bit. Having a little bit of a feed on the red thorn tree. A very well used red thorn tree. You can see there, I don't know if you noticed how he clamped it between his tusk and his trunk. And that you can even see the groove that's formed on his tusk from where he does that often. You see that on his left tusk, to our right? You can see the groove on the end of that tusk. This is wonderful. This is just beautiful. He's only about 3 meters, 12 feet from us. And he's decided we're not so terrible after all, so he's going to continue feeding. Now, the red thorn that he's eating has the most delicious tasting gum. And I think that must transfer into the leaves. And it does mean, of course, that they get beaten up by the elephants because they taste so good. Look at that right up into his mouth. His tongue moving. His little beard. Darlene in New Hampshire, you are a wealth of good questions today, and one, of course, in which I'm going to have to take my own advice and not busk. You say the 2 closest relatives to the elephant family are the sea cow and the rock hyrax. Now, for those of you who don't know, a rock hyrax is like like Darlene says, it looks like a guinea pig. It isn't vaguely related to a guinea pig, though. It is in a family all of its own. Indeed, Darlene, it is in an order all of its own. Now, what that means is that although it might be genetically the most closely related animal to an elephant, it is still very distantly related. And that's crucial to understand. So I'm just going to watch him. Let's be quiet and appreciate this, and Darlene, I'll get back to your question. Hello, fellow. He's a young bull, so he's just checking us out. He's not showing any kind of aggression. He's showing definite interest. Oh, it's wonderful. He's about 1.5 meters now, 6 feet from us. And that shaking of the leg is a demonstration of discomfort or awkwardness, just like you, if you're in a social situation, you fiddle with a button or a pocket or a handkerchief or a hem of your shirt. It's the same thing. This is too special. That, on the other hand, is not special at all. That was the sound of about 46 cubic decimeters of methane being expelled in our faces. Thank you, elephant. Thank you very much for that. Whew. It's been on the baked beans, Dave. Oh, you didn't like that, did you? Well, we didn't like what you just did. No. I didn't do that to you. No manners. No manners. That's your problem. Get my fat bonce out of the way. I'll just have you know that everybody in the final control is in hysterics because I said, let's be quiet and listen to the elephant. And then he, on cue, he's obviously quite a joker, that fellow. Ridiculous flipping animal. That's wonderful. And the timing of Spike Milligan. Okay, now what I want to show you here, Dave, this is going to be almost impossible to see, but let's just have a quick look here. There's no diagram. Darlene, in New Hampshire, The order Proboscidae, which has the proboscis mammals, that's the elephants, is an order on its own with only one family in it, and that family is the elephants. The order Hyracoideae, or Hyraxes, is another order. Now, an order, just to give you the kind of idea of the level of taxonomic group, the ruminants are all in an order together, the elephants are in an order together, the carnivores are in an order, all carnivores, from hyenas to cats to dogs to mongoose to honey badgers and civets and genets and all of them, they're in an order on their own. So although these two orders, the Hyraxes and the proboscis mammals, are technically the most closely related to each other, they are still eons apart. They are massively more distantly related than cats are to hyenas, or dogs are to hyenas, or mongoose are to hyenas, or bears are to hyenas. They are much more distantly related than we are to monkeys, than we are to bush babies. So I hope that kind of explains to you. It's so far back in prehistory that they are the most closely related, but they're still massively distantly related. Nice question. Thank you, Darlene. I'm going to move forward a little bit so we can have a look at Spike Milligan here, and perhaps it's Peter Sellers we have on the left. Now, Liberty Ann, you think it's quite amusing that I play with their dung from time to time, but I don't handle their arts. Well, Liberty Ann, it's just the manner in which it was delivered. I mean, I don't mind the thing expelling gas. We know we all have to do it from time to time, women excluded, of course. But when I say, listen to the wonders of the African wilderness, and the elephant then goes, I mean, it indicates a certain amount of disrespect, don't you think? Here we have the other one here. Now, we all have our pet hate word in the English language, and my worst word in the world is the word fart. I know that there is no other word really to use other than past wind, which is just ridiculous. But that word for me, I can't handle it. Now, this is a great question, Elaine in Massachusetts. I also cringe when I see what they do with the thorns. You say, how on earth, basically, are they able to put those hard thorns into their mouths, over their tongues, rip them out with their trunks? How is that even possible? Elaine, they've got very, very thick skin, much, much thicker than you can even imagine. And so that's why it doesn't rip a hole in their trunks. And then their mouths, their tongues are the same, you know. It's got a very thick epiglottis, or not epiglottis, epidermis, which means a kind of an outer layer which will protect them against thorns. So I think that's the only way they do it. But I still cringe exactly, because I mean, I've touched half of these bushes that they put in their mouths, and I've injured myself severely. If you go for a walk in the bush out here, you come home with holes in your legs. You know, he's behaving exactly like Spike Milligan was just now. He's walking past with a kind of, I'm interested, but I'm not that comfortable. Hello, fella. He's even less comfortable. Pamela, yes, brilliant questions. We watch them disappear. They're all, I can just sneak forward. They might have a little bit of a fight. Pamela, you want to know if there are any plants that an elephant might eat that is like candy or like sweets? Yes, absolutely, the marula fruit. When the marula fruit pops out during February and, January sometimes, marula fruit is exactly like candy or ice cream for an elephant. They go mad for good fruit out here, and it only lasts them for about a month, 2 or 3 weeks to a month, and then they're back onto the dry old leaves and bark and the odd pod, if they're lucky, some acacia gum, and eat and eat and eat they must in order to maintain that enormous bulk. It was interesting, when they met up here, you didn't see it, I don't think, but the one on the left put his trunk into the one on the right's mouth. And that's a common kind of greeting that they would give to each other. They haven't just seen each other. So I suspect it's almost like a seeking comfort. One of them just saying, you know, we're okay, are we okay, kind of thing. And shall we carry on after the herd, or shall we feed here a bit longer and then move on with the herd? I think it was just kind of reaffirming a social bond there. It's like you walking up to somebody in a crowded room of strangers who you've just been separated from, and then you come back from the table, I don't know, fetching a drink or something, and you put your hand on their shoulders as if to say, you know, I'm here, how's it going? And what they're doing now is the herd has moved off to basically straight over the top of their heads. And although we can't hear them anymore, they will be able to hear the infrasonic rumbles, the calls of the matriarch. And when she decides, if she decides that it's time to go for a drink, perhaps at Buffelshoek Dam, we'll go and have a look there just now. Brent said there was a herd of buffalo over there. We might pop across there just now. But when she gives that command, they will rejoin the herd. They'll move quite quickly down to the back of the herd and move up with them. They're just about at independence age. They're just about to sort of leave. All right, everybody, we're going to leave these elephants. They're going to disappear down into the drainage now. Scott is going to stand by and give you an update from him, and I believe that YouTube is now all over Twitter. Do you like the way I combine social media there, David? It's because I'm so savvy of the social media space. It's all of a Flutter or a Twitter with the speaking of different anagrams, or not anagrams, synonyms for that dreadful word that I can no longer bring myself to say while we're live. Back across to Scott. We're going to head to Buffelshoek Dam and see what we can find there.
Well, I am sad that I wasn't on the vehicle when that perfect coincidence and timing unfolded. Sounds like one of the greatest moments Safari Live's ever witnessed. And who would have thought? Spielberg couldn't have scripted anything better than that. So that was a good example of James being in sync with the animals. I haven't been in sync with Inkom, Pride, no sign of them yet. Not too sure where they're hiding. The guys had their tracks somewhere in this area this morning, but someone is in trouble because one of the guides drove over the tracks without seeing them, and that made it very difficult for the guys to try and work out where they had gone. So I got the radio message from some frustrated guides who were left with the hard work. Anyway, there's a few more guys in this area. Maybe they will get lucky, or maybe we will. Time will tell. Hello, Janice, and a very young 3-year-old called Carter. And you're in New Jersey. I hope all is well there. You'd like to know if I've ever seen a white lion. Yes, I have. On one lucky morning in the Timbavati Reserve, which is not too far away from here at all. And there are currently, I believe, I stand to be corrected, 3 white lions that are alive in the wild, not captive. And 2 of which are in the Timbavati Reserve. They're a part of a pride called the Giraffe Pride. And there was a red-billed buffalo that was carrying a little feather as nesting material, but it seemed to have dropped it as it flew off. There's also a long-tailed shrike in and amongst them. Anyway, the birds can often be tricky for us. So there's 2 lionesses in that pride, the Giraffe Pride, of which I was lucky enough to see 1. And there's also a young male, I think he's about 1.5 years of age now. in the Nwanetsi concession, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park, east of one of the main rest camps, which is called Satara. So he's looking like he could be the next hope for a big male lion in the wild. I think the last one was documented something like 17 or 18 years ago. So they are very rare in the wild. They are easy to breed in captivity, but for the gene to occur naturally in the wild, it requires a lot more luck. Oh, the zebra that just crossed the road. We can see you. You cannot hide behind that bush, not with your black and white coloration. Let's continue on. That looks like it could be a stallion, possibly following up behind his ladies. Let's go and take a closer look. Sarah in Ohio, I couldn't agree with you anymore. You say now that Karula's got cubs, it's time for the Nkahuma ladies to start getting busy in that department as well. And won't that be awesome? Imagine leopard cubs and lion cubs at the same time. And to be honest, I'm sure it's going to happen soon. I think in the next few months, we're going to see those Nkahuma ladies with a few new additions. So exciting prospects. And I like the way you're thinking, Sarah. Who knows, maybe even Shadow will have some cubs. Oh, well done, Viam. Hello, you. Oh, what you nibbling on? Hey? Some leftovers of a marula nut you're cleaning out of your teeth there. Hey? Ah, itchy ear. Whew, I wish I could scratch my ear as quickly as you can, so I can fast forward. I think it may be taking a toilet break there. Can't be certain though, but it looks like it's concentrating on something. Oops. Imagine being able to move as quickly as they can. This is a very, very thorny buffalo thorn tree that would usually snag up most animals, but this very agile and nimble little tree squirrel is having no trouble in there. We'll leave it be now that it's disappeared behind a few bushes. Hello, Matty, and I'm sad to hear that it's our last drive together. I thought we'd be able to go and drive tomorrow together, but we can't, and we have had lots of drives together already, so I guess we can't be greedy, but I am sad that this is the last one. I wasn't ready for that news. But I hope you enjoy it, Maddie, and because it is our last drive, you can let me know where exactly you want to go. So if you want to go anywhere, so, if there's anywhere you want to go, you must just let me know, Maddie, and we will go right there. Rusty Pipes, you would like to know how long will it take before a leopardess is likely to take meat back to her cubs? And in my history, Rusty Pipes, I've actually seen that they'd rather move the cubs to the kill rather than the kill to the cubs, unless it's something very small, like a cane rat. I think I've seen some tracks up ahead, yeah? Unless it's something small, like a cane rat, or a tiny little monkey, they'd be likely to actually leave the kill up in a tree and go and collect the cubs and move them back to the kill. And that usually happens anywhere from about 3 months of age. I was dreaming. Zebra tracks have the funny ability of being able to kind of look like a paw print. I don't know what it is. I guess it's just that general horseshoe shape. So yeah, Rusty Pipes, I think, what's it, probably been over a month now. Those cubs are probably over a month old. I've lost track of when the first confirmed sighting of them was. So, in the next 2 weeks, I think there's a strong chance we'll see these little cubs, or you'll get to see these little cubs. And anywhere from 2 months to 3 months, definitely around 3 months, you'll start seeing those cubs getting taken from kill to kill. And then it becomes very easy, well, a lot easier to find leopard, because by that age they'll be walking alongside her. They won't be getting carried in her mouth. So there's going to be multiple sets of tracks to follow, not just of hers. Maybe she's got 2 or 3 cubs if we're lucky. And because she will often make a kill, like this impala kill she's made today, and need to travel with it before heading back to the cubs to collect them, then travel back with the cubs to the kill, there's going to be lots of sets of tracks all into one area. Off goes some impala. Not hanging around. I think this windy weather this afternoon is making a lot of the prey animals a little bit nervous. Now, I know James often takes a wrong turn up in this part of the world, and I think I may have as well. No, I haven't. Let me just double check though. Thankfully we can cheat. No, we're good. We are still legal. We are not trespassing at the moment.